I want to welcome you to this presentation tonight. My name is Max Spann. I'm the president of the Orange Blossom Trail Development Board. I joined the board about 3 going on 4 years ago now with Vanessa and our previous director. My personal, why am I a part of the Orange Blossom Trail Development Board? Of course, my background is in planning, and so this is a very large planning district, very large CRA, and so when the City of Orlando, and of course, as I'll speak about later, I'm a City of Orlando appointee. When they called me and said we have an opening on this board, we'd like to, see if you'd be interested in joining. Immediately, I said yes, I'd love to. The reason why it's a small board, it was in sort of a state of turmoil, kind of turning over, and in the future, we have a very kind of bright horizon, and so as I saw, we've seen the Citrus Bowl, we've seen what's going on downtown, and both of those are creating pressure on the Orange Blossom Trail, a corridor to improve. So as it improves, I'd like to be a part of that. I'd love to be a part of that. It's an amazing time in Orange County. It's an amazing time in the City of Orlando. So, why not be a part of that entire process? I want to introduce board members. We have Emmett Odell is our vice president. He actually is a resident, and he lives within the Orange Blossom Trail, the area that the development board governs. Christine Hill, she's been on the board for, about 10 or 12 years now. Commissioner Victoria Siplin, who's with us tonight, thank you very much. It's been great, as I always say, having you be a part of the board. Your presence at our meetings, month and month, day in and day out, have really actually part of the reason why we're here, and we were able to get the funds needed to create and go through this planning exercise, as our consultants will speak about later. Rick Fender, I know him personally, businessman in the community, lives very close to the area. Tangia Hill-Smichael, she's liaison to Lift Orlando. She's also a resident very close to the district. Tasha Golis, she's a very new appointee. She actually lives in and knows Emmett very well. She lives in the district. And Demetrius Somerville, representative of Cayley Square LLC. And we do have, thank you. And we do have one vacancy as well on the board. So if you want to join, you can either join by contacting Orange County, or you can join by contacting the City of Orlando. As I said before, both have, this is a board made up of appointees from both jurisdictions. So I'm going to go back again. Why do we need a plan for OBT? So as Tom, our leader, Tom Kohler, our leader, will tell you, this began a long time ago, and this, Orange Blossom Trail development area began a long time ago with some visions for the future. As time has gone by, you've seen some streetscape, you've seen different projects happen up and down the corridor, you've seen different development parcels redevelop. And the reason for that is because a long time ago, you had some people get together and they had a vision for the future. Well, we need to restart that plan. As I said before, we have some pressures from both sides of the corridor. We've got the Citrus Bowl area redeveloping. We have downtown Orlando area, the Creative Village area is redeveloping. And so with that, we need to plan for the redevelopment of the Orange Blossom Trail corridor and the connected communities so that not only those areas get the benefit of the redevelopment, but everyone in the corridor. This is 13 miles long. And so throughout this entire corridor, we want everyone to reap the benefits. In doing that, we have to make a business plan for what we eventually want that corridor to look like. And so this is the business planning process. We've got many business people in this room, and so everyone knows your business starts with a business plan, and you have to continually redo it. And that is this process. So this is the kickoff for the business planning of what the corridor and what the Orange Blossom Trail area is supposed to be for hopefully the next 30 years and beyond. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Terry Prather.
Thank you, Max. Thanks, Max. Max is doing an incredible job leading the OBT Development Board, and I'm really new to this process with the OBT Development Board. So I'll tell you a little bit about me. The last few years, I was the president of SeaWorld Orlando, and I retired about a year ago. Prior to retirement, I served on a board called Lift Orlando, relatively new board that's doing some work in the area. After I retired and was at home for a couple of weeks, my wife made it clear she didn't want me at home, so I had to go find something to do. And fortunately, what we're doing with Lift Orlando is really demanding a lot of time and energy and effort. And under Lift Orlando, our mission has been really narrowly focused geographically, and with this idea of ending and eliminating, this generational and concentrated poverty that exists in certain areas around what's now Camping World Stadium. And as I was working on that project, I had an opportunity to meet with Vanessa Pinckney. I had never met her, and when we met, as soon as we met, I felt this connection, and it was about this passion for people. And she talked, and it was 3 words. I remember writing it down because she talked about these 3 words about the mission of the OBT Development Board was simple, and she said it has to be focused on this corridor, physically, socially, and economically. And it just, the light bulb came on, because without all of those connecting together, physically, socially, and economically, we have a tendency of leaving people behind. And when we talked, and I asked, well, how can I, as if I needed something else to do, how can I get involved with OBT Development Board? And her response was, funny you should ask. We have this program, this project coming up that we're referring to as OBT Next. And you think about just what comes to mind when you think of OBT Next, the next generation. What's next for this corridor? And it just became exciting, and I said I'd volunteer to head up the steering committee, and so here I am tonight. But more importantly, when I look out into this audience, I realize OBT Next is really about the people in this room. It's not about the people on the committee, the steering committee. Our role is simply to help facilitate the process. Ultimately, what will make OBT Next what we want it to be is the engagement of citizens, business owners, business leaders, and just other stakeholders. That's how you get to the next level. This one saying that we use a lot in our work around Lift Orlando, I think it applies well with what we're doing on OBT. And the saying goes, and I didn't make it up, it's been in my head for years, is those things that you do for people, without those people, you do to those people. So OBT Next is not about doing things for people or to people, it's doing it with people. So I applaud everyone that's taking the time out of their busy days to be here this afternoon. So this process, we're going to talk more about it as we go into this meeting tonight, but it's going to be very interactive. It's going to be involved with citizens, business owners, and elected officials. It's going to be all of us together. This is not, we're going to decide on what's going to happen on OBT in the next generation. It's not going to be that. I have no desire to tell people how to live their lives. But I think we on the committee have a passion for helping facilitate the process. We're all passionate about it and engaged with it. And speaking of the process, I would love to share with you just this one slide just to give you a visual of the people that are on this steering committee. I mean, it's a very diverse group of business leaders from one end of OBT to the next. The OBT Development Board's corridor starts at 528 down by Florida Mall, and it goes all the way up to Highway 50. That's 8 miles, 8.3 miles. It's 8 miles and some change. If you think about that stretch of land, there's a tremendous amount of diversity. There's some sections of that land that's very commercial, somewhat light industrial. But then there are other sections of that stretch that are somewhat distressed. And there's one report that came out that a national organization put out that identifies this area right here, 32805, as the most distressed zip code in Orange County. So you've got this diversity of worlds, and what we have to do with this diverse group of leaders is figure out what is the plan. And I'll say this one thing that I've said at our first committee meeting. The one thing we are not going to do is develop a plan that sits on a shelf. All right. So if you think this is an exercise to put together a good-looking book to put on the shelf, you're in the wrong place. And it's going to require a lot of work from a lot of people because we want to put together a plan that is executable. If we can't execute on it, it's not a good plan. So I'm hitting buttons while I'm sitting here. Sorry. I tap stuff all the time. But at home, my wife hits me back, so I can't. But so if I just have to warn everyone here tonight, we're going to ask you to do some work, and a lot of work. The steering committee is not doing all the work. As a matter of fact, we're not going to do a whole lot of work. The people that are going to do the work is actually this group of people. This is the group that I definitely want to introduce, which is the staff liaisons, and they're a very impressive group of people. And I have to pause for just a minute to ask for just a moment of prayer, because Vanessa Pigney is executive director of OBT Development Board, and she couldn't be with us here tonight because her father passed away 2 days ago, yesterday. And we were just meeting on Monday, and we were both talking about how much fun we were having with our parents as they age. And when I got the email that her father had just passed away, I mean, it really took me aback. So I just ask everyone just keep Vanessa and her family in your prayers as they go through this process. She also sent out an email today asking questions, and I told her to get back in her space. We'll take care of this. But she's an incredible leader and very passionate about what we're doing. And Rhonda's going to come up, I think, in a minute and lead some more discussion. Jason Reynolds, and I have to say this up front, there's two Jasons. There's a Jason, okay, there's a Jason from the city and a Jason from the county. Jason with big hair and Jason with a little bit of hair. And that's how but there's other stories that people talk about the Jasons. Okay. But we also have officials from Orange County Sheriff's Office and the City of Orlando Police Department. So we've got great people providing resources. So as we go through this effort and this work and this exercise, when you have questions about data or information related to a specific section of the OBT Development Board, that stretch, we've got experts that can get answers. And that's the beauty of doing this project. It's not going to be based on emotion. It's not going to be based on who can talk the loudest. It's not going to be based on who talks the longest. It's going to be based on developing a plan based on data that can be actionable so that we're not putting together some pretty brochure that sits on a shelf. So with that said, I think I turn it over to someone else. Rhonda.
Hello. I'm Rhonda Stapleton. I work with Vanessa, and I'm pinch hitting for her tonight since she can't be here. This is my 5th year working with the OBT Development Board, although they haven't been consecutive years. I took a little break, and I came back a year ago this month, actually. But before I tell you about the OBT Development Board, I want to tell you why I love what they do and why I love this project. I moved from Kentucky in 2002 into Holden Heights, and I moved into Holden Heights very intentionally. I've had people ask me, well, did you know where you were moving to? Yes, I did, and I fell in love with Holden Heights. It became my community. I lived there for 10 years and left the area because of some work that I was doing at the time. I am not currently living in Holden Heights or in the area. I live close by, but I came back to the OBT Development Board. And during the whole time from 2002 up until now, I've worked in some capacity either in Holden Heights, Paramore area, or as in some capacity that affects the people who live in Holden Heights, Paramore area. And I have met some of the most incredible people, some of the most awesome people I've ever met in my entire life. And I've also gotten to see firsthand some of the struggles that we have in this area, some of the opportunities we have in the area that can be enhanced by all the work that I know you all are gearing up to do. And I used to mentor both adults and youth when I first moved here, and I have lost 2 neighborhood youth, actually 3, to street violence. So this is a very personal project to me. We, as Terry said, we are not going to make a program that just sits on the shelf. We're about changing circumstances so people can have a better life tomorrow than they had yesterday or even today. And we're going to put a lot of focus on raising up this generation, starting with the youth. We're very passionate about the youth. So who is the OBT Development Board, and what do they do? We are, let me figure this out here. See, I told you I couldn't do it. Yay! Okay. The OBT Development Board was created in 1984 to address the specific needs along the OBT corridor. It followed the appointment by Sheriff Lawson Lamar of a task force who spent a lot of time in the area, all up and down OBT, and who did studies and who talked to a lot of neighbors and a lot of business owners and people to sort of do, they were a task force who studied the specific needs of the OBT corridor. And so after that 1 year, they came up with a plan, and the city and county worked together to develop, or to, create the OBT Development Board. And it was created to be a conduit, really, between the local government, the property owners, the developers, residents of the area, and technical groups who could make things happen. The sole purpose is to improve the lives of the residents along OBT. The mission, like Terry said with LIFT, it's very simple and straightforward to plan and implement projects intended to revitalize the OBT corridor. Our improvements have been along the lines of their multifaceted aesthetics, economic sustainability, housing, social justice issues, infrastructure, and crime prevention and reduction. This is our area. You've heard already that it's from Colonial to the 528, and you will see, and I think you all have brochures and some other information that you may have received or that you will receive tonight. You can look at the area that we cover. Our entire program area is from Colonial to 528. We have 3 main programs that we manage as a nonprofit organization. The first one is the OBT Community Redevelopment Area. And you can see, if you follow on the picture of the screen or what you have at your table, you can see that's the area that's in red. It goes from Colonial down to I-4. And that is the CRA, the Community Redevelopment Area. We have probably, I think the only, if I'm not mistaken, still the only CRA that is comprised of both city and county property in Florida. And so the city and county work together. 2/3 of our CRA is in the city, 1/3 of it is in the county. The little lines in yellow represent the Safe Neighborhood Program. That area is also from Colonial down to Oak Ridge. And both of those program areas on the west to the east, the boundaries are Rio Grande over to Westmoreland. And then the bigger area that's in blue is known as the MSTU roadway improvements. MSTU is a type of tax that the businesses voluntarily decided they would pay on that end of the trail to improve the infrastructure, improve the roadway project and that sort of thing, and to keep it maintained. And so as you drive down OBT, you'll be able, that's probably one of our most obvious projects that we have because it's visual. You can see that the improvements have been done. That improvement area, of course, OBT is a state highway, and so we partnered with Florida Department of Transportation, the local government, OUC, Links, and some other organizations to make some changes down there. And I'll show you a couple of pictures of that in just a moment. So some things that are not so obvious about our program and what we've done over the years is that we created a billboard overlay district. In the south end of the trail in particular, from I'd say I-4 South, mostly because that's more commercial, there used to be a lot of non-uniform, I'll say, billboards, a lot of wooden structures, a lot of metal hanging, not up to code, things like that. And our former executive director, who was Randall Grief, and Randall was there from the beginning of OBT Development Board until just last year when he retired. And he was just a lobbyist for everything that he could do to make OBT better. And so he created an overlay district, and we had some voluntary sign reduction from the owners of those billboards and signs to make them more uniform, to have a strict policy about what they looked like and where they could be, and make them all uniform to match the roadway and to not be an eyesore as they used to be. We have, and Randall lobbied with the state. Randall has been known to sleep in his car outside the state building in Tallahassee to get these things done, and that's how relentless he was. We have changed some zoning ordinances to make revisions and restrictions on the adult businesses that are on OBT. I think we're 80% less than we used to have on the trail. Some of the neighborhood enhancements we have had in previous years, not too long ago, were fence and mailbox projects, no-cost home repairs to owner occupants, and neighborhood entranceway signs. And some of those, you might look at those and think, well, those are just, those are pretty things. But they're also safety measures, because one of the things that law enforcement and, first responders in general told us was that they couldn't see people's house numbers. And when they got phone calls, a lot of people didn't have house numbers, and so they weren't real sure where they were going. And so mailboxes, even just putting new numbers on the homes when we did the renovations, painting them. We did some fences in order to, they were beautiful, they are beautiful, but they also keep people from running across your property onto the next property in the middle of the night when they're being chased by law enforcement. I know I've had that happen at my house a few times. So those things also help from a safety perspective. As far as economic development, we're in Orange County Enterprise Zone area, and we received the first Brownfields area designation. For infrastructure, I know that the OBT Development Board was very instrumental in getting the sanitary sewers, with Orange County to be installed, particularly in the Holden Heights neighborhood, starting in 2004. And I know that we're, working on our last zone for those infrastructure, the sanitary sewers. And with that came sidewalks, curbs, and gutters, paved streets, and street lights. And of course, those are all safety measures as well. because it used to be really, really dark in the neighborhoods, and I guess some of the criminal activity or perceived activity wasn't so obvious, but with streetlights, it's made a huge difference. We also lobbied for fees from criminals to fund a safe neighborhood initiative. And this is the time that Randall slept in his car outside of Tallahassee because it kept getting postponed. But he worked on legislation with the OBT Development Board when I think it was then Senator Buddy Dyer and his aide, Bruce Antone, thank you, who helped write legislation to start a safe neighborhood program where if someone is arrested and they go to jail, they're assessed a penalty. It's either, I think it's $15 for misdemeanors, $25 for felony. And that money goes back into a safe neighborhood fund, which goes back into the neighborhoods to make them safer. OBT Development Board created the first safe neighborhood zoned area, and I think now there are 7 or 8 in Orange County. So the funds still come in and they get divided between those safe neighborhood programs. Who remembers this part of OBT? This is some of the overhead, power lines, the billboards we were talking about and that sort of thing. And then you have this. We worked with FDOT. There are no overhead power lines. They've all been buried there. The lighting, we still maintain and paint the lighting. Bill Carr is in the back of the room. He works with the OBT Development Board, and this roadway project is his territory. He's out there every single day and a lot of nights. If some of these light poles get hit by cars or whatever the case might be, Bill's the man who goes out and does whatever he needs to do to make it happen. And he maintains all the landscaping, which is beautiful on the south end of the trail. He has contracted workers who help with that, and he oversees that part of OBT. And then we also went from something that looks like this to this. And it's amazing to me what a difference. I didn't live in Orlando whenever we had the old highway, but I noticed the first time I drove down OBT I thought, wow, this is super nice. I had no idea that that the OBT Development Board had made that a part of their history. And then with our previous program where we worked on homes, we worked on over 200 homes during that time period, and we would go in and do minor repairs. Some homeowners would allow us to come in and do repairs inside, others just on the outside. So we would take a house and do what we were allowed to do to spruce it up and to make the homeowner, be more proud of where they live. And so there are a couple of before and after shots of work that we've done both in the county and in the city. So the Florida Department of Economic Opportunity grant is why we're all here tonight. After some conversations between Vanessa and Representative Antone, he made her aware, as they talked through some issues, I guess he made her aware of some avenues where there might be some funding. And Representative Antone, together with Senator Thompson, Commissioner Siplin, and others locally, it takes everybody working together to come up with these types of funds and to help the process to improve the area. And so the very first thing I did when I started with the OBT Development Board last October was Vanessa said, "Are you ready to write a grant?" So we started writing the proposal my very first day there, and we wrote the proposal, and our representative and our senator was able to get it all the way to the governor's desk. He put his stamp of approval on it, and we were awarded $500,000 from the Department of Economic Opportunity. Now, why is that significant? Because it shows us that both state and local government really do believe in a positive future for OBT. Not just the roadway, because the roadway improvements will come later. They're on a calendar, and it's going to be a few years out. What they care about are the citizens and the residents of this area. We want to bring stability to OBT. We want it to be a place where we're proud to live, where we're proud to work, and where we're proud to have our kids play. And so it gives us hope in our future. It enables the OBT Development Board to continue the work that we started 32 years ago. We have been in OBT. We're right on OBT. We've been there for 32 years. We're not going anywhere. We know people. We are a bedrock in the community, and we're going to continue what we've been doing. A lot of our work has been from I-4 South in the past years, and our focus right now is going to be I-4 North, although we're still going to work in both areas. And that's why it's important that we have people on the steering committee in all sections of the trail, and that we have people like Captain McMullen and Captain Shad from the police and from the Sheriff and Police Department to help us along with this, because they know firsthand what the issues are in each of the areas. This grant unifies the city and county residents, government, and businesses. We don't want to see ourselves as, oh, that's a city problem, or oh, that's a county problem, or oh, you live in the city, and oh, I live in the county. We're all residents of OBT. We all live, work, play on the corridor, and we want it to be that way. We don't want to have dividing lines. We want to be the community along the OBT corridor, and Vanessa cannot emphasize that enough, so I know she would want me to say that on her behalf tonight. This grant offers a better future for our residents, and you've heard both Max and Terry talk about this a little bit, and how we look at it is, you know, for our residents, we look at employment and affordable housing. Those are things we're going to do. We have lots in the area already. We have people who have been working and looking on how to develop those lots to have real affordable housing for people in our neighborhood who would want to buy a home. We have programs that we're looking at developing to help people buy and to maintain their homes. We're looking to bring about economic sustainability for our communities. More businesses in the area brings in more income in the area, and it also provides employment to the area. We are willing to have incentives for businesses to come in, for existing businesses who are already there, to help them either hire a certain percentage of folks from our neighborhoods, to provide job training if that's needed, whatever the case might be. We realize there are issues behind the scenes for people to be able to get or maintain a job, and we're willing to work from the beginning to the end so that the residents can be successful. We want to provide hope for our youth, and this is a safe and sustainable future for our youth. We have, I think, one park on Cayley Square. We have several parks in the city area of our corridor, and we need more things to involve the youth, not just physically, although we want that to include sports and the arts, but we also want to engage our youth in positive activities after school. We want them to have jobs. We want them to be able to think outside the box or think beyond. I remember two of the youth that I mentioned previously were brothers, and one of them told me, "Miss Rhonda, I don't expect to live to be 30 years old." Why not? You know, we need to model to our youth that they have other options. And sadly enough, this young man did not live to be 30 years old. That's not the future we want for our youth. We want them to think outside the box. We want them to go to college. We want them to have scholarships. We want them to interact. We want them to have mentors, to have initiatives that will help them to grow and to keep their minds occupied in a good, healthy, positive manner. So the reason we are here today is to this is our kickoff. This program, even though our grant is for a one-year period from July of this year to June of next year, with a little bit of time to finish up things on the end there, we'll be doing a lot of studying, assessments, and all those kinds of things, but the work goes on long, long after that. It's about bringing our community together, and I'm excited to see people coming out from all parts of the community tonight to get us started. It's about gaining your input and partnership. We're not a group of outside people who are coming in to tell you how you should live your life or what you should do and what you should not do. We're local folks. We want your input. We're involving you in the process as much as you want to be involved in the process. We know the problems that exist along the OBT corridor. So we want to talk about and find workable solutions. We know the problems. We've done assessments for years. You know the problems. Let's talk about solutions. We want to bring some solutions to the table and move forward. And so by working with GAI consultants, we are working with a team of experts to turn our dreams into reality. They have to be plans, they have to be on paper, they have to help us move forward, or otherwise they're just thoughts in our minds. And so we have worked with GAI for how long, Tom? I'm going to turn this over to Tom Kohler here. So this is a good segue. Tom Kohler is Mr. Downtown, from what I understand. He's been around for a long time and has helped to develop a lot of downtown Orlando. And he has worked with the OBT Development Board for 25 years. So Tom knows the corridor as well, and he's not going anywhere either. We're not going to let him. And he's brought a whole team of new young folks who are working alongside of him and have the energy and the technical expertise, to make this all happen. And so that's why they are on board, and they're going to take it over from here and show you what this process looks like. So, Tom, it's you.
Just a quick agenda for the rest of this presentation. Going over the study area, what our assignment is, and why do we plan, and the quarter plan comparables, so that you get some sense of what the final product's going to be. As Rhonda said, that I've been going around the room earlier. I mean, I eat a Martin here, and then I lived in the Rock Lake neighborhood back in the early 70s, so I've been here 40-something years, and I know this corridor quite well. And I was director of downtown development for 22 and a half years. So this is beyond just, a work assignment. This is a passion of mine, and I think that's going to be the unique aspect of the people you're going to be working with. As Terry and Max both said, this is not about, although I think we will have a couple of pretty pictures, just so, but it isn't about pretty pictures, it's about implementation. And to give some perspective, when I first started with Downtown Development Board in Orlando, it was 1979. How many here were here in 79? A couple of you could drive down Orange Avenue. There wasn't anybody. Yeah, you weren't even born. That's fine. You really know how to hurt a guy, don't you? Oh, boy. But you could shoot a cannon down Orange Avenue, and not only would you not hit anybody, nobody would have come out to see what the noise was. We'd give Golden Bricks Award for washing an empty storefront. So that was 79. And when I took the job, everybody said, "You're crazy, because nobody's going to invest in downtown Orlando. It's all going to go out to Disney, and it's all going to go out to the convention center and iDrive." So I stand before you and saying, changes are not. We were an overnight success after 35 years, and look at what's coming now. So what I'm going to do is give you a quick snapshot. As Rhonda said, we really got 3 plans, but this is really the main plan. The other 2 are plans that we are required for funding mechanism, but they'll all feed into the corridor master plan itself. And you've already met the steering committee, and this is the staff. We've got Alan Shepard and Claudia Ray and Patrick Panza, myself. I'm going to be the ringleader. They're going to do all the heavy lifting. But again, my passion is going to be a part of this effort. And as you can read the other the staff liaisons that we've discussed before. And again, I think what needs to be said is this is a unique, that Rhonda mentioned, this is a unique relationship between the city and the county. There's not one like it in the state of Florida, where you have a community redevelopment agency that's both city and county. And And I think both with Mayor Jacobs and Mayor Dyer's commitment to this, I think we're going to actually do some rather remarkable work. About GAI, just again, we've been working on the streets, designing the improvements to OBT back in 99. We've been doing planning and so forth. You can read the slide. And we're continue to work on that. And these are really our three emphasis for this work. It's urban design and planning, economic strategy, and infrastructure and open space. These are the different elements of the work effort. Again, number 6 is the key one. It's the master plan. All the things leading up to the 1 through 4, and we're in the public engagement initial effort here. But 1 through 4 all lead up into the master plan. And again, getting back to what both Max and Terry said, we've got to have a plan that's implementable. And I think the success of downtown Orlando was we had plans that actually got built. And that creates some momentum, it creates an excitement, it creates the investment opportunities. People say, well, gee, I never thought about that. But a long time ago, I learned, everybody said, well, why do you plan? Well, folks, if you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. And that's what the rabbit said to Alice in Wonderland when she was looking around, which way? If you don't know where you're going, and by having at least the blueprint of your strategy, it gives comfort to those that are going to invest in your corridor that that's where the community wants to go, and that's where the investment from the community side, whether it's putting in a new sewer system or redeveloping the OBT corridor. What we're going to be doing through this engagement process, and Claudia will come up here a little bit and go over it in more detail, but first of all, we've got to do is understanding, and this is listening and learning, and this is from everybody in this room and those that aren't in this room. There's many more that we hope to be engaging. Then we're going to be exploring the ideas that start coming out of this engagement, and then we're going to decide on, what are our alternatives and which direction should we be going, where opportunities make themselves available to us, and then we're going to document the strategies and the implementation program, and then assign who's accountable for it. Who's going to do what, and when are they going to do it, and how do we get back to the point in time. So many times you get a plan, everybody gets excited, gets adopted, and then it sits on the thing, but there's not an accountability. It said, okay, for the next 12 months, this is what's going to be done, and these are who's going to do it. And it can't, and I'll tell you, downtown Orlando did not get built by the city of Orlando. It got built by the private sector. It got built, but the city of Orlando, through their efforts of planning, they put in place the resources so that you have water, sewer. If you're back in the 80s, you remember where we tore up Orange Avenue. It was for 7 months you couldn't drive down Orange Avenue, and all our traffic engineers said, you can't do that. You have traffic jams all over the place. Well, we never had a traffic jam at all, but once we got the water and the sewer and everything else, we could put the investments in. And that's exactly what the MSTU did for OBT, and that's exactly what Orange County has done in the Holden Heights area by investing in the water and the sewer, the road, the sidewalks, and the lighting, and you're seeing changes. The project area, as Rhonda had described it, it's 8.3 or so miles. I think Max added 5 more miles to that, and it's difficult enough at 8.3. 13 miles would really tax our resources. But so we've basically broken it down into 5 sub-areas, and it's the first one would be Colonial to the east-west, and then the east-west to the I-4, then I-4 to Holden to Oak Ridge, and Oak Ridge to the Turnpike. So And as we said before, they are very distinct areas. And so, no, not one size fits all. And so that's going to be part of our engagement process is if you're invested, either living or a property or a business in one of these sub areas, we will be having sub area committees working with you on that. But again, sometimes as Rhonda said, she was here after the OBT improvements. So a lot of people don't realize how much the development board has done over the years. But this is the way it, one of the things about OBT is it has land uses that are everything, from hotels, to auto repairs, adult stores, dealerships, strip malls, technical schools, industrial, Florida Mall, one of the most successful malls in the state of Florida. And I think it also gives what people don't realize, because there's a stigma, and it used to be the same way with downtown, and nothing good happens downtown. For years, they said, well, the trail, it's the trail, But look at the growth. Everything has grown on the trail in the last 26 years. And from retail, even when you break it down to A, B, and C, the retail, the office, industrial, it has been a growth area. It has not been negative. It's just maybe it hasn't grown as fast as the rest of the region. But that just bodes well from an economic standpoint, that we've got some good bones upon which to build the next generation, OBT Next. And what I just thought I went through this just quickly again, so that you would understand that. Look at all the things that happen. I was there. we changed the fairgrounds to the Centroplex. Now the Centroplex is going to become the Creative Village. So the fairgrounds, actually had livestock in the old expo center, rabbits and chickens and cattle. We converted that to expo center, and we got the hotel in there, and so forth and so on. And then the Magic opportunity with Orlando Magic came, and we built the marina. And in 1980, if you just said that was going to happen, everybody said, no, there's no way that's going to happen. Same thing, this Creative Village, and the Creative Village is going to bring 7,000 to 8,000 students down with the UCF. I don't know if you've been down Amelia recently. Drive down Amelia. You'll see the K through 8 and the Boys and Girls Club. And I hope we can do a similar type of thing. That gets back to the whole supporting the youth. Then we've got contamination industrial area is an Orlando City soccer stadium. And then we've got the old Lynx maintenance facility is now the new police station headquarters. Citrus Bowl, the renovated Camping World Stadium. Public housing was pure public housing. It was Hope 6 mixed income housing over there on Gore. Adult entertainment, we had 17 of them. Now we're down to 5 and counting. And then just vacant parcels, significant ones like Walmart and Aldi redevelopment. And again, then we had vacant industrial properties way up on Lake Eleanor. If you haven't been up and back under there, it's amazing over on the other side of the mall. And that's also part of this Area C. And just significant investment there. And those are all job generators. And so part of what we're going to do is, what is the vision for the area? And then how do we activate opportunities? Why a plan? Our 1990 plan, anything that was done in 1990, including me, 26 years later, I'm a lot different than I was then. And the whole world has changed. This has changed the world more than anything does. And folks, I just left a conference earlier today, and we had a young lady from South America that was talking about polyculturalism and how this is going to change, how it's changing the United States of America, and that within the next 34 years, the minorities will be majorities, whatever, from Hispanics to Asian to African Americans, they will be the majority in this country. And there will be younger, we'll be older. We'll have 22% of our population will be over 65 because we're all going to be living longer. And but the other thing was that this communication device in all of the next generations that are come is changing the way we shop, we think, we communicate, and we're seeing that with the presidential elections now. Somebody gets to tweet at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning all the time. But the point is that what you're seeing, we're seeing this in Orlando. Our Main Street programs on Corinne Drive and on Orange Avenue and on Edgewater, a lot of the business is being driven by the apps from the younger people. I didn't even know what an app was, up until about a year ago, until my grandkids started showing me what to do. But that's how they communicate. They communicate on where the restaurants are, where the entertainment is, where buy your shoes, this, that, and the other. And so that's part of what we're going to be doing is understanding where the future lies on all of this. So we've got to update our CRA plan. Then we're going to, once we get into this and you start giving us feedback, we're going to see what we can do with a safe neighborhood program. That's not a given, but that's part of our efforts to see if there's an appetite to initiate a safe neighborhood program plan. And then obviously the bigger plan is the corridor master plan that takes into play all the planning policies, infrastructure improvements. And one of the things that we're actually going to be doing is identifying development opportunities on vacant properties and saying, this is what the market says can be built on here. Now, whether it's going to be built 2 years from now or 5 years from now or 10 years from now, that's one of the things that we will be identifying as well. So we'll have some real economic perspective on that. So I've talked long enough. I'm going to turn it over to Claudia so she can tell you exactly why you have all these things on your table and do a little bit of a planning of your own. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Claudia. We're actually 52 minutes to the presentation, so I'm going to try to speed this up a little bit since I'm the last one. I'm actually urban designer. I'm a planner. I'm a trained architect. I'm from South America, but I was not the person that was in there this morning. This year. So yes. So I do have a dual citizenship. I moved here 10 years ago from Venezuela. My whole family and I asked for political asylum. And this is my home now. I was not here back in 1979. I was not even born. It is what it is. And I know now that we'll be the majority in the future in this country. I'm very passionate about cities, about places, about people. That's what I do. I travel outside the United States, around the country, and cities are my passion. I mean, when you're a doctor, that's what you do. That's what you do for a living in your career. This is me. Funny enough, of course, I speak Spanish. So if anyone needs to approach to me and speak in Spanish, I actually had a business owner that called yesterday to our office, and he was having a hard time. It was like, do you feel more comfortable talking in Spanish to me? So I was like, brrr! And everyone's in the office like, are you working? I was like, yes, I am. So why a plan? I mean, like we mentioned before, we need a plan because when you start a business, you need a business plan. We need a road where it's going to lead us. And sometimes we started like as simple as this. We take a picture and say, what can we do to improve this place? And that's how we usually start a plan. This is pretty much our process. What we usually do in every planning process is the first phase is input, which is our listening and understanding, and that's why we're here. We're gonna get as much as input as what we want the first 60 days right now. Then we actually go back, and when you guys give us our input, we start seeing that some of the themes start to repeat. So we try to group those ones, and we usually come up with, from 5 to 10, depending on the area. Each project is a little bit different. Out of those themes and goals and vision for the project, we come up with a framework. This is what we're going to do. And after the framework, we actually come up with action. It's an action plan. It's an implementation plan. So this is actually the process. And in each one of those steps, we actually going to go back to you guys, to the business owners, to the residents, to the steering committee, to everyone, and ask, are we going on the right track? Do we have to back up a little bit? Do we have to move forward? So this is actually what I actually do a lot. This is actually an example of a plan that we did for a corridor plan in Tampa, which is Hillsboro and Nebraska. It was almost a 3-mile from downtown. And at the end of the plan, we actually came up with what we call policy, program, and improvements. So usually policies is because we notice if you want to redevelop, sometimes the land uses are not the right ones that need to be there. So how do we can change that? We actually identify also some programs we need to do a grant to actually help business owners to paint the facade. And then also you can have physical improvements to go to the public realm, which is the street, the parks, or to also go to the private properties. So we'll actually be looking through some of that in the plan. Then what we usually do, we try to identify key catalyst sites along the corridor to test this and see if it actually works, if they make sense, does it apply to different areas. So, and we also take we're gonna do an assessment, so we're gonna see everything. It's like almost like an X-ray. We're gonna do a market analysis. And with the market analysis and the physical and the assessment, we select a site, and we start testing these policy programs and improvements in there. Do they work? How do they look? And then they also need to be flexible enough because it's a framework plan. We're not going to tell people what to build in their site. We're going to give them a guideline. So it can be what you see on the left, or it can be what you see on the right. Do we want residential included? We want commercial. So this will be like study sites, so model sites for you to actually follow. And then at the end, this is actually downtown Claremont. So downtown Claremont, that's what pretty much they wanted. They wanted a master plan and they wanted an implementation plan. So we go ahead and did it. We designed it. We actually separated downtown in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 areas. And from those 7 areas, we gave them a number. This is how much money you need to make improvements on these areas. And right now, I'm happy to say that we're actually designing the wetland park. And we're going to actually jump and design one of the streets after. So then, we want to put a number into that and we want to make it into an implementation plan. So, like we mentioned before, this process is going to have actually 4 phases. So we're in phase number 1, understanding. And along this whole process, which we're going to end June, September next year, there's going to be public involvement all the way around. So you're going to have many times and many opportunities to participate in this process. So the first phase, so basically we're going to have stakeholder meetings. The steering committee is going to be with us. We're going to have community meetings, neighborhood meetings, and we're going to have actually walking audits. So the first phase is the next 60 days from October to December. So we're here today kicking off the project, and we're going to actually hold what we call walking tours and neighborhood meetings, and we're going to have stakeholder meetings. So the walking tour, so each one of you should have a brochure in your table. Okay, so in that brochure, actually, the walking artists and the neighborhood meetings are going to happen the week of November 5th to the 19th. So it's 2 weeks, and that's your chance to participate in person, like you're here physically. And we literally, like you see in the picture, we go and walk. Everyone's going to have to wear their safety vest, We're going to have police officers with us for safety. And then on the neighborhood meetings, we're actually going to have the opportunity to have a table exercise too with the map. So because we have 8 miles, we did divide and conquer. So we have divided the area in 5 sub-areas. So 1, 2, 3, 5. And so because we actually want to be able to reach to each one of these neighborhoods, so in each one of these, we're going to actually be in area number 1, we're going to have a walking audit, and after that, we're going to have a neighborhood meeting. So these actually are kind of 2-part events. So you show up first, so let's say the first one, to put an example, is on Saturday, as the 5th. So the walking audit starts at 1 p.m. and it ends at 2. And right after that, at 2:30, we're going to have the neighborhood meeting. And we like to do that because usually when we come back for the audit, we're actually going to be assessing. We want people to bring the cameras, taking pictures. We're actually going to give them a survey. So you can rank 1 to 5, is the sidewalk okay? Is the crosswalk okay? And then we'll come back and actually ask everyone for their input, and we're going to actually do another exercise. But for people that can't attend to the walk-in audit, they're going to have the chance to actually do this neighborhood meeting. So if you can actually go ahead, at the end of this first phase, we're going to have 4 of the walking tours and 5 neighborhood committee meetings. So on Area 5, since the physical environment on Area 5, it's not walkable, we're actually going to have 2-hour meeting, but then we're still going to have a picture exercise because to me, picture, it words more than 100 words. So we're going to do a kind of virtual walking audit. I'll have to get a little bit creative with that and see. So again, how to stay connected. So like Tom said, we're the next gen, and that's what I'm here for. So we created a Facebook page and a YouTube channel for the project. So Facebook, if everyone that has a smartphone right now and they're on Facebook, please, I invite you to like our Facebook page. Over there, we're going to actually keep photos of our meetings. We're going to actually post our meetings over there. You can leave comments. And also the reason that we also created a YouTube channel is because we want to make this process very transparent. So all the meetings are going to be recorded. This one is being recorded too. And we're going to post it there for those that weren't able to actually attend the meeting. We also created a website, which is called obtnext.com. It's live. It was not live yesterday. We were working really hard. But the good thing about this website is actually it's a very participatory site. So over there, you're actually going to be able to go to see the timeline. You're actually going to be to come over here and you can sign up for updates, and you can actually write us comments over there, and that goes straight to the consultant's email website, and we're very responsive about that. Also, we're actually going to post our events over there, all meetings and walk-in audits. And although it's not over there, there's going to part the website that we can upload documents. So every document, every meeting, every report, every presentation is going to be there for the public to have access to it. Also, how to participate, which is something. So this website is going to really cool. So we're actually going to do everything on this process is going to be paper trace, like physical, but it's also going to be online because we want to try to capture, it's a very large area, and we wanted to be able to incorporate what we call technology into the planning world. And because everyone does everything in their phone. So today, the way that I want you to participate, it's on the paper trace, but you're also going to have time to do it online. And this is something that I call idea wall. So each one of you have this little card in your table. So right now, I'm going to make you work a little bit, because everyone here have to work. So on that little card, I'm actually asking you guys 3 questions. And basically is, what are the challenges facing the Orange Blossom Trail Corridor now that you see? The second one is, what opportunities do you see for the OBT corridor in the future? And what do you envision next for the Orange Blossom Trail Corridor? So those are 3 very simple questions that I want every one of you to answer. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to do that. Also, I wanted to keep in mind in the back of the car, since I mentioned that I want this process to be very open, if you actually give me permission to post that comment in our website, there's a box over there that I want you to check yes or no, because I also want to be respectful of your privacy and the things that you say. So it's up to you if you want to write your name or nickname or something. I don't care, but if you give me permission, I'll post what you write over here. And the good thing about it is when you actually go to this website, other people can read your comments and other people can like your comments and comment back, because we also want feedback in all of this. And that's the main goal. Also, like I mentioned to you, we're actually going to hold stakeholder meetings. And stakeholder meetings are smaller meetings, more like 10 or 12 people, and they're actually themes. We're going to meet with a group of experts related to transportation, related to land use. We're going to meet with the developers, with the business owners, with the neighborhood owners. And we as the OBT board, the steering committee, they're going to recommend us some people that we need to talk to. But honestly, we just send mailers to 5,000 parcels, and I don't think we know everyone. So if you think that you feel that you want to talk to us and you feel that you can actually tell us something about any of the themes that are over there, please also check it and give us your name and number, and we'll contact you whenever that meeting happens, and you're going to actually be free to come. So like I mentioned, in our website, we'll also, if you click participate, there's 3 same questions that are over there for you guys to do it. Then in the future, again, the mapping exercise is going to be also online for everyone to reach out. Oh, that was not yet there. But well, since we're here too, I usually end up all my presentations with a postcard. Every place that I visit, every place that I go, there's 2 things that I do to remember. I buy a postcard and I buy a ring as a souvenir. So this one I got in the city of Wauwatosa doing a streetscape plan that is actually getting built right now. So when I started working at the OBT, because part of my job is to vision what's going to be next, and you need a lot of creativity. So to me, my question as a consultant, as a designer, as a people that try to see what's going to happen next, is like, what is going to be the next postcard for OBT? So I want you to think about that when you're filling the question number 3. And I want you to dream, and dream big too, and give me what do you think. So I'm going to give you, what's the time, because I want to make sure that we're all out here by 8. So it's 7:17. So I'm going to give you guys 20 minutes individually to fill up your car. And after you're done in those 20 minutes, I want actually, you see there's the small cars and the bigger one in the center of your table. So after that, I want you guys to have a conversation, kind of exchange ideas and see what each one of you wrote, and kind of make a summary card. And then I'm going to go actually around the table. Each one of you is going to speak for a minute or 2 of what you actually came up with, the questions out of these 3 the answers out of the 3 questions. Is that good? All righty.